Hello friends, welcome again to the Kumbi-Gikku Show on the Gikkudiaries YouTube channel. With me to discuss the matches of the last 7 days, the 9 matches number 330 to 38, starting with the Chennai Super Kings winning against Lucknow Super Giants and ending with Chennai Super Kings again losing to Mumbai Indians and staying at the bottom of the points table. With me is K. Srinath, the former Karnataka and Tamil Nadu Ranji Trophy player and now a BCCI-panel umpire and also the co-author of the Handbook of Cricket Psychology. Sri, welcome. How has the last week gone by and how have you enjoyed the welcome rains of Bengaluru?
Morning, Jikku. Thank you very much. It's back to old days of Bengaluru. The summer has been quite nice, cool breeze and a bit of rain coming in. And of course, a lot of spice as we head to the midway in the IPL. Some, I wouldn't say upsets per se, but results not going in favor of certain teams. But a very critical juncture we have arrived at. And from here on, it's going to be a real rat race and catch-up game for a lot of teams lying at the bottom.
Last Monday, Chennai Super Kings showed some hope of winning, at least bouncing back and moving up the points table, but that doesn't seem to work because they are going from bad to worse or worse to worst, whatever you can say as, losing to Mumbai Indians and only have 2 wins and 6 losses. How do you look at Chennai Super Kings, and do you think that they have just thrown in the towel and building the team for the next season, giving youngsters like Sheikh Rashid debutants in the last week?
I mean, before we go on the slumber of CSK, I think the shining light has been the 17-year-old Ayush Matre. In fact, I have watched this kid in the last couple of years play for Mumbai in the Ranji Trophy. Very, very bright talent, and certainly he's there for the future. And alongside, we would also discuss another name for RR during the course of the show. I think that was only a silver lining in the cloud for CSK in the whole of this week, because everybody thought when they beat LSG in the thriller last Monday, everybody thought that this is a team that you cannot write off. If you're writing them off at your own peril, that's what they said. But having read the statement of MS post-game against MI, looks like they've given up on the season. And, the line was like, he said, we have to find the right combination of the playing 11 for the forthcoming season. Right. That means from here on, CSK is left with 6 games in the season, and they are at 4 points. And normally the threshold for a team qualifying could be by the virtue of net run rate or either which way. I think 14 points, 7 wins is a must. So from here on, in the remaining 6 games, CSK has to win 5 out of 6, which looks a real big Herculean task for them. And right. Yes, they don't look like a side which is out there for a purpose. They're looking totally disoriented. I think, yes, the writing is on the wall. From here on, it is very, very bleak. Again, writing them off would be a tough call, but the present moment, with the sort of injuries they've had, a couple of the players having flown back due to some emergencies at home, I think it looks the door is shut for CSK this season.
That's exactly what their head coach even said, Stephen Fleming, on the match eve and also post-match yesterday at the Wankhede Stadium, that how long will you have patience on certain players like Rahul Tripathi, Deepak Hooda, and he showed by roping in Sheikh Rashid, who did well in his debut the previous game, and yesterday, of course, like you mentioned, Ayush Matre, fearless, going after the bowling, and it's not like they are going after domestic bowlers, but reputed bowlers of international class. We saw just the previous day, like you mentioned, the RR young prodigy, 14-year-old, the youngest IPL debutant, Vaibhav Suryavanshi. They have no fear. They seem to be like they belong there, isn't it? But then the childish character in them also came out when we saw Vaibhav go out with tears rolling down his eyes after a well-made 32 in quick time.
I think, in fact, if I have to recollect with Suryavamshi, couple of years back, I think he was part of the India A or B squad in the under-19. There was a quadrangular series which involved Bangladesh and England in Vijayawada.
Okay.
I think he was amazing talent and, a rounded personality and not very keen on his fitness or fielding part of it. But otherwise, immense talent with the bat. And yes, this IPL has thrown up some fabulous Indian talent. I think he's somebody who should be really taken care of well, because already he's made his first class debut. He's played for Bihar. He's appeared in the 23 for Bihar. He's played the 19. And he took the world by storm when he made his debut against the England, touring England youth side, under 19.
Right.
He got 158 balls in chip off. So I think he's real precious talent. How he's looked after and how grounded he stays is what is the most important thing. Because we've seen quite a few talented players come through this IPL. And he's one of them. And I've seen him for the last couple of years. There's no dearth of talent in him. Flamboyant shots and a left-hander, graceful cricketer. Yes, very young. As you said, there is no fear in them because they've not heard or seen the likes of many of these top-notch international players they come across. So for them, it is just go out there, express themselves. And when you have the backing of your team management, I mean, what else do you want? And you said he left in tears, Gikku, after he got out. I think the sport, the emotion that it brings on the table is something phenomenal. I think that's why the sport of cricket is such a great one. You see the real golden oldies, the experienced cricketers. We saw Virat yesterday with the sort of emotion he celebrated when they beat Punjab, because he was desperate to, literally it was like a sweet revenge for them having lost back home in Bengaluru. I think that is what this game brings out, the emotions. And end of the day, this game is a great leveler.
We also saw, like you said, Virat Kohli and his emotions. We also saw Rohit Sharma bounce back to form. And yesterday was probably, it was tagged as the revenge week. And we saw exactly what happened. RCB avenging PBKS's defeat at Bengaluru, winning an away game. And Mumbai Indians also avenging their season's first defeat to Chennai in Chennai by winning at home against CSK. So it's a sweet revenge on Sunday, and good to see Rohit Sharma among runs, and not just a few runs, but a good unbeaten 50, isn't it?
It was revengeful Sunday, you can say. Yeah, I mean, Mumbai, as we've always seen, they've been slow starters, and now they just see a streak of light, and now they would just barge in through the back door, and you never know. They could be the side that could finish fourth and make it to the playoffs, and have their hand on the cup also. Yeah, it's good signs for MI. Surya Kumar Yadav striking form in the right time, and post the unwarranted or uncalled or a lot of noise being made about the retirement of Tilak Verma. I think he's come back with a bang. Yes. I think that is the sort of resilience and mental strength these young cricketers have shown. I mean, this is the format and the tournament which is, making these cricketers that much harder. And yes, always in these 18 years, we've seen the marquee clashes always have been MI, CSK, RCB, RCB and MI. I think these three teams, when they play against each other, these are marquee clashes. And it's no short of any drama. But yesterday, I think MI ticked all the boxes. A comprehensive victory, I would say. 3 overs to spare almost. Chasing down 170 plus. And the sort of confidence Hardik carried. He said that 175-180 was below par score on this wicket. I think that shows they are growing in confidence. And a couple of weeks back, we discussed, Gikku, the comeback of Bumrah.
Right.
I think that's something that's really made a huge difference in the bowling unit of MI, and the confidence that he brings to the table, his experience, and the sort of character he is. I think that's what MI really, firing all guns out. I think now they are a team to watch in the next couple of weeks.
And among the explosion of youngsters and fearless way of their style of playing, we see this 37-year-old, 38-year-olds still having it in them in this shortest format. So that proves that there is no substitute to experience, isn't it? Like the way Virat and Rohit showed yesterday. You may have the likes of Vaibhav, Ayush, Sheikh Rashid coming in with a bang, but then there is some place for experience and you cannot discount it.
Absolutely. I mean, this sport is all about biding that much time in the middle, spending more hours in the middle. I think there is no substitute. You just can't imagine, the big shoes of Rohit or Virat Kohli being filled in. I think those are massive boots to fill in. And the legacy they are going to leave behind once they are done with this shortest format is going to be something huge to fill. It's not a void, it's going to be a crater. And yes, you need that experience to really handle situations. As you said, the hitman was one hit away. What better day? A couple of days back, Stand was named in his name in the iconic Wankhede, and it just comes out. And as everybody knows, the free-flowing, the stylish right-hander he can be. I think he was at his best, and the form of Rohit, the form of Surya Kumar Yadav, Bumrah coming back. I think these signs augur really well for MI, and these are really signals, peril signals being sent out to the other franchisees. Yes, Mumbai have just tasted blood now. I think they are on a roll, and they are going to be unstoppable from here on.
And like it's always been perennial slow starters, but they are slowly moving their way up from 7th to now 6th in the points table, and that mid position in the points table, positions 4 to 7, is very tricky, isn't it? With anybody can go up, anybody can come down. Mumbai Indians, LSG, KKR, and Punjab Kings. These 4 teams. It's how they go in the next couple of weeks will determine where they finish.
I think this week is going to be very crucial because most of the teams have played 7, barring a couple of them. Rather 8, and a couple of them have played 7. I think this week is going to be very crucial because each team is going to get to play 2 games. And as we head to the last week and a half, it's going to be just 4 games left. Already you see a lot of surfaces getting a bit tacky. We saw when Punjab batted yesterday in the afternoon, we heard Shashank Singh say that the wicket was a little bit slow on the slower side. They took time to adapt to it. And they just lost it in the over number 12 to 15 where they lost a heap of wickets. So I think moving forward, the teams have to be really smart. That's where, the experience of a Virat or a KL Rahul or somebody like a Rohit Sharma is going to come to the forefront. I think to handle those middle-over situations, it's just not about going slam-bang up front in the power play and then you lose a heap of wickets because there's no time for you to consolidate in this shortest format. So it's all about, not going in one gear, but you lose a flurry of wickets, it's about consolidating. So it makes it all the more important for one of the top 3 batters to bat through the 20 overs, which, somebody like a Sai Sudarshan and Shubman Gill. They have been the pair which has not been spoken about. We've a lot of talk has been going about Phil Salt and Virat Kohli, the likes of Rohit Sharma and Rickleton, Arya and Prab Simran, the real swashbuckling opening pair. Of course, Chennai has gone very slow. They've not been successful. They've still not been able to get their opening combination right. But I think this is the pair, Sai Sudarshan and Shubman Gill, who have gone about their job without any fuss. And invariably, Sai Sudarshan has batted majority of the overs. And those days, GT either has chased down a big target or they've managed to put on one big. So this week is going to be pretty crucial. As time progresses in this tournament, wickets are going to get that much tougher, and really the skill and patience of most of the batters will come into the forefront.
You just mentioned about pitch and yesterday's pitch in Mullanpur. Ricky Ponting, the head coach of Punjab Kings, said later in the post-match that the pitch became easier to bat on when Kohli was around. So that is how do pitches change that quickly from a tricky one where run scoring is not easy in the first innings, but then becomes easier. Is it to do with the batsman, or does the pitch actually change nature?
I mean, with whatever little bit I have seen, inning 2 in a night game, under lights, if there's dew, maybe, the effect of dew could help the pitch ease out a little bit. But I think the game which Punjab played yesterday was an afternoon game. And I think it was the quality of batsmanship that made the difference.
Correct.
Because either you see RCB, they're chasing down targets when they're away from home.
Yes.
On a canter. Whereas on similar surfaces, they have not been able to adapt when they play at home. I think Ricky Ponting's take might have been the wicket eased out, but the quality of batsmanship of Devdutt Padikkal and Virat Kohli made it look like, they were on a stroll in a park. I mean, the way they worked the ball around and, especially Padikkal was hitting sixes and fours at his will. And somebody like Yuzvendra Chahal, who started finding his form, came up a cropper. I mean, he struggled to get his line and length going, and so was Brar. So I think it's a quality of batsmanship which totally differentiates between, what a slow surface or a good surface is. So end of the day, the point of view of the coach might have been that, but I think it was quality batsmanship from the RCB batters, especially Virat and Devdutt Padikkal, and the result is there for everybody to look at.
And something similar we saw in the Wankhede, where the Mumbai Indian spinners, especially Mitchell Santner, was bowling slower and getting purchase of the surface, whereas when Chennai Super Kings bowlers bowled like 10 overs from Ashwin, Jadeja and Noor combined, Suryakumar Yadav just swept them away to glory. So it was the same pitch where RCB won, whereas the previous matches, two other matches, it was on a different surface, which was a low-scoring one, whereas it goes by pitch number 6 coming from the eastern side and pitch number 8, which was yesterday, which was a below par from CSK, but definitely a high-scoring one. So this is how pitches vary from one center to the other.
Yeah, Mumbai Wankhede has always been typically, wickets which have assisted fast bowlers, because the red soil wicket has got good carry, and the spinners who are able to, get revs on the ball and bowl in the right areas can get good purchase. A classic example was Santner. As I did mention a couple of shows ago, I think both Jadeja and Ashwin are in far too a defensive mode. So when you are defending a target of 175, there is no way you're going to just, get the opponent under the radar and say they're going to be 170 for 8. Either one, you bowl them out for 150, or vice versa. The result, what we saw yesterday, 17.1 for 4, victory by 6 wickets. That's what is going to happen. I think we've seen far too defensive technique from the side of CSK, whereas yesterday, as I mentioned, I think Mumbai Indians were on the top of the game. I think from here on, if they can only raise the bar from here, and they are going to be unstoppable and serious contenders. They were written off maybe a week ago, but yes, they look really poised now to make it to the top 4.
Moving away from these two teams, RCB and MI especially, we saw Delhi Capitals produce some thrillers, but can we say choking in the end when it mattered against the two opponents, where they needed 9 runs, but then they couldn't. RR especially, not Delhi Capitals, RR, who choked super over against Delhi Capitals and another 9 runs against LSG, where Mitchell Starc and Avesh Khan bowled beautiful final overs for the respective teams. One ending in the super over and Delhi Capitals winning, and the other a 2-run victory for LSG. Well, how do you say RR, Rajasthan Royals, especially when they are in the middle of the points table?
I think they also look like a side which has lost its blood. To start with, they didn't have their captain fully fit. He went back, got a clearance from NCA, and he was raring to go. And again, we saw him get injured in the last game, and he was not available for the last game. Somewhere, I think, they've lost out on key players. And number 2 is they have not been in a position to get their combination right. And not all of them are fired together. I mean, you're going into a super over. And the talking point was when you had Nitish Rana get a brilliant 50 of 20 odd balls.
Yes.
Why on earth would a team want to send Riyan Parag ahead of a Nitish Rana? I mean, you look at all the super overs that have taken place in the history of T20 cricket. It could be IPL, it could be bilaterals or world events. Whoever has been your best batter, because this is just an 1-over game. You're not typically looking at your 2 regular openers to come out and bat. If RCB is going to look at their super over batter, it certainly would be a Tim David and maybe a Phil Salt. They would not look at, a Liam Livingston and a Rajat Patidar. I think it was basic common sense. And then Riyan Parag coming out and saying the onus was on me, I take it upon myself, makes no sense. In fact, RR has been one team which has always, promoted a lot of youngsters. But this platform is not about promoting youngsters. It's about winning the title, and this is a forum wherein you get finished products. You're not trying to build cricketers in this forum. I think that's where I think as a unit, RR has just failed, and we've not spoken much about them. But I think though they are somewhere in the lower half of the table along with CSK and SRH, I think from here on, climbing back and getting back to the top, I think looks really tough for them. I think that's one side really which showed a lot of promise and sparkle in the beginning. But I think the way they showed, they've just fizzled out.
And perhaps one shining spot in their lineup is Jofra Archer. The way he started this IPL going for runs aplenty, but he has bounced back and been economical, hasn't he? So what has changed in Jofra Archer in this last few matches after a very bad start?
I think that's been one of the positive signs for RR, because he struggled in the bilaterals when England played India in the ODIs. He was just going for charity, and when the IPL started, the quicker you bowl, the faster you disappeared what was happening. And I think he's a quality bowler and a known entity. So they always say that there's an adage that form is temporary and class is permanent. I think that is what he was able to show. But unfortunately, in 20-over cricket, it's not about one bowler in the side. Bowling also is all about partnerships. So Jofra Archer has not found the right ally around him. Maybe barring Sandeep Sharma, who's held his nerve well and been able to contribute. I think overall their combination has not worked well. But yes, from a Rajasthan Royals perspective, Jofra Archer's coming back into form, and the debutant 14-year-old Raghuvanshi. I think these two things have been the takeaway for them in this week.
Right. What about the defending champions, KKR? They could not chase 111 against Punjab Kings, and it was just falling like 9 pins, isn't it, against the team? 111 definitely chaseable by the defending champions, but then they just lost it, and they are now, because of that result, not more wins, 7th in the points table and struggling.
Look, they played the game in Mullanpur on a pitch that really suited them. I think their bowlers delivered. Sunil Narayan, they had Varun Chakravarti do the job for them. But what is hitting them badly is the form of Rinku Singh and Andre Russell. I think these two guys have still not come to the party. And somebody like Rinku and Dreras, they are guys who can just blow the opponents away. It is just a matter of, one good innings from either one of them that can bring them back into contention. Because now it's all the games they play at home or away, the second one, and it gets really interesting. And they've been like defensive on certain fronts, like talking about surfaces that have been doled out in KKR, in Kolkata rather. I think somewhere the mindset has shifted. I think they are a gun side wherein all the bases are covered. But unfortunately, the middle order is where that they are really not cracking it up. I think and a failure of Sunil Narayan at the top. He's not firing. One odd cameo from Venkatesh Iyer. But as a unit, barring Rahane and Raghuvanshi to some extent, I think they have not gelled well to fire as a batting unit. So it's one of those games that they play today. If they can put up 200 on board with a couple of their batters coming good, I think that will get the confidence back in the side. And as a bowling unit, yes, they've not done much wrong, but it's about their middle order, low middle order batting coming together. That would certainly propel them, and they can really make strides up on the table.
And perhaps they are still ruining the fact that they released a winning captain in Shreyas Iyer, and maybe it's also got to do with the results that KKR has been having, isn't it?
I mean, what sort of an impact that's left us in hindsight, we can always discuss that. Could be even, Josh Butler was let off by RR. That was a crucial thing. A couple of years back, it was Yuzi Chahal for RCB, and last year they let go of Mohammad Siraj. I think the dynamics of the auction, your team combination worked totally differently. But yes, letting go of a winning captain was certainly a surprising move. And now Shreyas has proved his worth in weight in gold, because he's rallied around and got the Punjab team going well now, and they are really on track and road to make it to the playoffs. And if they make it to the final and one more title for Shreyas Iyer, I think the talking point at the end of this IPL would be Did KKR made a blunder by releasing Shreyas Iyer? Yes.
Perhaps roping in Abhishek Nair, whose contract not renewed by the BCCI as the assistant coach. Maybe it could change their fortune starting today when they play their next game later this evening. Sri, one thing that we saw largely on television the last week, it may have been there previously also, but this was more prominent. The umpires checking the width of the bat with the gauge, and that was more visible on the television screen. Just explain that whole scenario. It's just to see that they are not taking undue advantage with the thickness. But then they must also be checking the bat width before the match starts, in the dressing rooms, on the eve of the match, before the match. Just explain the whole situation for our viewers.
See, normally there's a bat gauge and there are dimensions that a bat can only be this thick on the face and the width has to be this much. At the back end, the fourth umpire does regular checks. But unfortunately, today we see cricketers carry 15-20 bats with them. And how many bats of each cricketers do the checks be done with? So there was some news that was brewing up and saying that, some of the batters were using bats which were slightly oversized. And the best way to do it was the on-field umpires on a random basis have a check on the field of play, which could, negate any undue advantage being provided to any batting side. I think that was the only reason with which they started going with. But some of the players have been quite vocal and critical, especially the past cricketers who are sitting in the comm box now saying the momentum of batters might go down because of these constant checks and all this stuff. But if you are fair to the game, why should you be afraid of showing up a bat and saying that this is what I need to do? Because 2018 was the first year when IPL introduced this, and I was a part of IPL as a fourth umpire that year. And we did bat checks. Most of the bats didn't go through. And we had to inform the management saying that you have to work on this because this won't be allowed. I mean, this game is totally oriented towards the batters. And if you give that unfair advantage to the batters again, using bigger bats, where the boundaries are smaller, misses are going for sixers, I mean, where are we heading to? So I think the reason was to have a level playing field, ensure there was no unfair play, and give undue advantage to batters. I think this is going to be the way forward moving ahead, especially in IPL. I don't know what sort of clampdown ICC would look at, because Pan World in the last 8-9 years, the manufacturers also have been very clearly given the size of bats and dimensions that have to be made in. And they get it from reputed bat makers. I think there was a lot of noise made about it, but I think it's been made very clear even from the IPL part of it. I think the matter is done and dusted and everybody is happy with it as of now.
Cool. The one image of when it comes to the comparing the thickness of the bat, remember this photo of Barry Richards showing the bat used in those days that he used, which was very thin, and the current batsmen use, and it's more than 2.5 times thicker than what they used in those days, and still they got runs aplenty in those days with those bats, isn't it?
Exactly. I think a lot of bowlers have really been happy.
And the boundaries were longer and not brought in like they do today.
Exactly. But you saw all-run 4 yesterday, Gikku, in Mulanpur. That shows the size of the ground. There was an all-run 4 when Devdutt Padikkal and Virat Kohli were batting. That shows the size of the ground. I mean, to make the game more interesting and, bringing the bowlers into picture, I think you need to have bigger grounds. Mulanpur is a big ground. The Ahmedabad Stadium is a big one. Savai Mansingh is a big one. Whereas we've got very short boundaries per se in terms of Chinnaswamy, in Wankhede, in Chepauk, in Delhi, wherein, the favor is more tilted towards the batters. Yes, I read the statements of a couple of fast bowlers. They said this should have been done a long time ago. We can breathe a bit easy now if the bat sizes are concise, because we've always been at the receiving end. Yeah, clamping down on certain unfair tactics, it's always better for the game.
Certainly. So with that, we come to end of this episode. Let's see if from last week to this week, the top 3 teams haven't changed. The bottom 3 teams haven't changed. It is GT1, BC2 and RCB3. Whether they maintain the same position in the coming week or if there are some interesting changes, teams displaced from their top positions. It's going to be very interesting, like you said, in the coming week.
Absolutely. We are, I think, heading for a thrilling week. And I personally feel that there are going to be some changes, and I strongly believe that Mumbai Indians, the way they've started playing now, have got a very bright chance, and possibly you could see them jump into the top 4 by the end of the week. Proven wrong, happy too. But if the top 3 teams are able to hold on to their positions, nothing like it. But my gut is, one displacement that can happen in the middle is maybe, MI moving up the ladder and getting into 4. Rest, I hope we have an exciting week ahead.
On that note, thank you very much. Thank you, Sri, and see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jiko. Thank you.